Another possible delay now after a judge has granted the request from the parents of the Oxford High School shooter to have separate trials. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Damon Fernandez in for Devin Skillian.
And I'm Kimberly Gill. James and Jennifer Crumbley were initially set to be tried together as co-defendants with a trial set for January 23rd. But attorneys for the pair filed motions to separate the two, citing a possible conflict. A judge then granted that request this afternoon.
Well, Pamela Osborne is on this story tonight. Pam, it seems like we're going to be waiting even longer for these cases to go to trial, Papacy.
It's possible. The answer to that is yes and no. One of these trials will begin in January, and the defense team for the second Crumbley trial, they most likely will want to get their hands on the transcripts from the first trial, which will impact the timeline of when the second one can begin.
We knew this was coming. We knew the conflict was coming.
Todd Flood, former prosecuting attorney and managing partner of Flood Law, says it makes sense that Jennifer and James Crumbley would want separate trials.
With the mass amount of witnesses and the mass amount of evidence that's in play here, this is going to be at least a 2 to 3 week jury trial. At least.
Both parents are facing 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter after their son, Ethan, brought a gun to school and used it to kill 4 of his classmates. He's already pleaded guilty. The prosecution alleges the Crumbleys were negligent, saying they should have gotten their son help instead of buying him a handgun. The fact that they'll no longer be tried together could complicate things for the defense.
What about any kind of shared secrets that an attorney received by one of the defendants when he wasn't representing that one defendant?
And with one parent now set for trial ahead of the other, there's another consideration. The defense for the second Crumbley trial will want and have the right to review transcripts from the first trial.
That's going to be the biggest delay.
2 trials will take double the time. It will cost the county more, but that's little, Flood says, in comparison to the trauma witnesses will have to relive twice more.
You just want due process. Win, lose, or draw, you just want 12 people in a jury box to decide a case. And, you want justice to ring.
And before either of the Crumbley parents have their day in court, their son, he will be sentenced on December 8th. Reporting live tonight, I'm Pamela Osborne, Local 4.
Okay, Pamela, thank you. And to see the exact court documents filed by the Crumbleys and their lawyers, just head to this story on clickondetroit.com.
Well, it's been 10 years since Chelsea Small was murdered. We told you on yesterday at Local 4 News at 6 about her family's continuing calls to get justice in her case. But while we spent time with her family, they also told us about a story involving Chelsea's gravesite. Victor Williams has more from Gibraltar tonight.
Well, the family of Chelsea Small says it was nothing short of a miracle what took place right here at her gravesite, and they're hoping it can lead to another miracle of a different kind.
Her headstone completely got knocked over. Stuff was it was a disaster.
A decade after the murder of Chelsea Small, and a tornado causes an overturned tree to damage her grave.
But it didn't scratch it, it didn't chip it, it didn't do anything to it.
Chelsea's family members are calling it a blessing, really because of the lack of damage to the tombstone.
When I got the pictures, that was bone-chilling to me.
This is what the gravesite used to look like.
This gravesite never goes without somebody leaving a gift somewhere.
This is what the gravesite looked like following the tornado. One man who didn't want to go on camera took this picture following the storm.
I looked at the tombstone, I looked next to it, and I had to do a double, triple take. I'm looking at this huge trunk, but the tombstone was untouched.
Now family members are trying to get the site back to where it was, but they want to thank a family who tried their best to pay their respects in a special way.
A nice person that came out and cleaned up the gravesite, and her boys put the headstone back up, and that was very nice of her.
All in all, they're hoping it's a sign that a break will soon be happening in the case.
I just thought that was kind of eerie. Maybe it sounds kind of crazy, but a sign from above that everything's going to be all right for Chelsea and his family.
And certainly with that $55,000 reward, hopefully someone can come forward with information that could lead to an arrest. But like they said once again, they're going to try to make this gravesite just like it used to be. In Gibraltar, Victor Williams, Local 4.
Okay, Victor, thank you. Let's get a check of the forecast after a really sunny day with temperatures on the milder side. It's cooling down out there pretty quickly.
Yeah, Kim Adams joins us now. And Kim, will things warm back up in time for the morning commute?
No, tomorrow morning is going to be very cold. In fact, we'll be right at freezing at the airport and even cooler in some of the suburbs. 42 right now in Pontiac. It's already down to 38 in Flint. And look at Port Huron, 34. You folks will go down into the 20s by tomorrow morning. 43 out at Metro Airport. And it's 33 degrees in Ann Arbor. Let's talk about the winds for a moment because it was a beautiful day, but it was breezy. In fact, Metro Airport clocked a 36-mile-per-hour gust, also a 36-mile-per-hour gust in Ann Arbor, and Pontiac, 32-mile-per-hour winds in Mount Clemens. Now, as we go through the overnight hours, watch what happens to the wind speeds. They start to calm down a bit. And as we head into the morning commute and even into the afternoon, those winds will be nice and calm. But it's going to be cool because winds are shifting around. They'll start coming out of the northwest tomorrow. So our temperature only reaches 52 degrees, but we're not done there. The warmest day of the week is yet to come. I'll tell you which day in a few minutes.
Okay, Kim. An update tonight on a shooting that happened last week at a St. Clair Shores gas station. Police have arrested a Detroit man they say pulled the trigger. Deontay Smith Haynes is accused of shooting a man after the victim attempted to punch him in the parking lot of that gas station. Smith Haynes is being charged with assault with intent to murder and felony firearms charges. Bond was set at $300,000 and he was ordered to have a mental health assessment. He's due back in court November 28th. Staying in Macomb County now, 43-year-old Christopher Lynch is facing several charges after he allegedly fought with police officers. This happened last Wednesday. Police say they were at Lynch's home to serve a mental health petition, and that's when he attacked two of the officers, pushing one over a second-story banister. Police say Lynch has shown support for anti-police and anti-government views in the past. He's facing 2 felony charges associated with resisting and obstructing a police officer.
A former basketball coach at Farmington High School will have his case go to trial. Jeremy Tompkins is accused of sexually assaulting 2 high school boys at his home. Prosecutors say the assaults happened between August and October and involved teens aged 15 and 16. Tompkins was arrested on October 24th and charged with 1 count of second-degree criminal sexual conduct and 1 count of fourth-degree criminal sexual conduct. He pleaded not guilty. Well, a 25-year-old Warren woman is in jail tonight, accused of leading police on a chase and abandoning a puppy in a dumpster.
Investigators say Selena Martin was arrested after losing control of her vehicle while trying to dodge police. This happened last Wednesday. Officers say her car reached speeds as fast as 100 miles per hour during that brief chase. After crashing near Orchard Lake Road, just south of 12 Mile, police say Martin and her 14-year-old passenger tried to run off. And that's when police say the two threw a puppy in the dumpster because it was slowing them down. Martin now faces 1 count of felony fleeing and eluding and 1 count of misdemeanor driving while license suspended. The teenage suspect was turned over to a guardian. The puppy was not hurt, and officers were able to get it relocated to a loving home. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we are set to learn the legal fate of a Stellantis senior manager connected to a Clean Air Act cheating case. Emmanuel Parma worked as a senior manager of diesel drivability and emissions at Fiat Chrysler, of course now known as Stellantis, from 2010 to 2016. Federal prosecutors say he was connected to an elaborate scheme of installing a defeat device in engines to reduce emissions during testing and then not disclosing its presence to regulators. Parma accepted a plea deal back in July. The company had to pay more than $300 million in fines because of that scheme. House lawmakers are working against the clock to avoid a government shutdown before Friday night's funding deadline.
Yeah, here's a live look at the nation's capital, where House Speaker Johnson's new funding plan is already facing opposition. The first part of the bill extends funding until January 19th for things like military construction, veterans affairs, and transportation. The second part of the bill extends funding until February 2nd for the rest of the government. With a slim majority in the House, Johnson will likely need Democratic support to get the bill passed. The House is expected to vote tomorrow.